Today we are wrestling with, well, a really big question, isn't it? It's something that kind of defines the human experience. How do we actually bridge that massive gap?
The gap between wanting things to be better.
Right, having those goals, the vision boards, the big dreams,
Mhm.
and then the actual messy day-to-day work of doing it.
Yeah, the real world stuff, it's tough. And that's what we're diving into today. We've got this material, this blueprint, really, for authentic improvement. And it's summarized under this intriguing title, The Simple Truth That Changes Everything.
Hmm. It is provocative, isn't it? And deliberately so, I think, because what we found here, it isn't just, motivational fluff.
No feel-good quotes without substance.
Not really, no. It's intensely practical, almost like a mechanic's guide for your life, if that makes sense.
Okay, I like that. Mechanic's guide.
It really tries to strip away the usual sort of success theater, and focuses entirely on implementation.
How to actually do the thing. Exactly. The core message isn't about finding some grand philosophical theory. It's about understanding that real change, lasting transformation, it's built in the small choices.
The almost invisible ones.
Yeah, the daily habits. And crucially, those moments the source keeps mentioning when nobody's watching.
Yeah.
Those private commitments.
Okay, so let's unpack all of that. Our mission today for you listening is to cut through all the noise out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise.
And hopefully provide a really clear, actionable roadmap. How can you, right now, today, stop waiting? Stop waiting for that, cosmic permission slip.
Yeah.
And actually start creating the change you want. The real, authentic change.
So we're going internal first, looking at ownership, then strategy, then the environment around you. It's like we're looking for the operating system update, the one that makes everything else run better.
Right. Moving beyond just hoping things improve.
And into taking measurable tactical action. That's the focus for this whole deep dive.
Okay, so the first big idea, the foundational concept that this material really hammers home, is something we can call the external trap.
The external trap. Yeah.
And it's such a common fallacy, isn't it? I think almost everyone falls into it at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
We have this underlying assumption, this belief, that our life will only really change when something big on the outside shifts.
Like winning the lottery
Or, I'll start saving properly once I get that big promotion. I know I've thought that. Or I'll finally be happy when I meet the right person.
Or everything will calm down once I move to that new city.
Exactly. It's this endless loop of waiting for the universe to just hand us a better life, all wrapped up.
And that mindset is not just frustrating, is it?
Yeah.
It's actually a really powerful limiting mechanism
How so?
because it places the control, the locus of control, completely outside of yourself. You're basically handing over your future happiness to things you often can't directly influence.
Like the economy or someone else's decisions.
Right.
And the simple truth that this blueprint talks about is this. Your life genuinely starts to improve the moment your mindset improves. So it's an internal adjustment first.
Yes. Not an external event happening to you second. You have to stop waiting for change to arrive.
And start being the change. Sounds a bit cliche, but...
Well, yeah, but it's about actively, immediately becoming the person who is ready for, who deserves that change. It's internal work.
I like how the source material describes it as the switch that flips everything. Because the switch, well, it's immediate, isn't it? It's binary, on or off. You don't need a committee meeting to flip a switch. Exactly. Yeah. It's a choice you make in a single second. Think about it. If you're telling yourself, I'll get serious about my health once I can afford that fancy gym membership, you've basically guaranteed you'll do nothing right now.
Right. You've locked in your current state. The switch has to happen inside first. The decision, the commitment to value your health now then the actions, like maybe just going for a walk, they fall on naturally.
Okay. And this leads to a really direct, maybe uncomfortable question the material poses. Yeah, it's designed to challenge you, to force that switch.
Right.
It asks, quite simply, what am I waiting for that I could start creating right now?
Oof. That really cuts through the excuses, doesn't it?
It completely obliterates that external dependency. Remember the example in the source about wanting to write a novel?
Yeah, the person waiting for the perfect, quiet cabin in the woods.
Right. And the source basically demands, well, why can't you write one paragraph? Just one single focused paragraph right now in your busy kitchen.
Yeah.
Or on the bus commute.
Or in those 10 minutes before your next Zoom call.
Exactly. It forces you to see that the missing resource isn't usually the external thing, the cabin, the gym, the promotion. It's the internal commitment.
That lack of commitment is the bottleneck.
Okay.
And that immediate accountability, it flows perfectly into the next point,
Right.
which can be even tougher for people.
Yeah, this is often the one that, as the authors say, stings a bit. Taking full responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
The core message here is non-negotiable. You are responsible for your life, not luck, not the economy, not your boss, not your upbringing.
Nope. Not your parents' mistakes.
Yeah.
And look, for people who are really struggling, that can sound harsh. It can sound like blame.
Like, oh, great, so it's all my fault. My life isn't perfect.
Right. But the source immediately does this really crucial reframing. It says, hang on.
Responsibility isn't blame.
Exactly. Responsibility is equated with power. That's the absolute key insight here.
Okay, unpack that. Blame versus power.
Well, think about it. Blame is paralyzing, isn't it? If you blame, say, the economy for your financial problems, where's the solution?
Somewhere out there. The government, the banks, things I can't control.
Precisely. You remain a victim of those external forces. But if you accept responsibility for your financial situation, maybe your spending habits, your saving decisions, your effort to earn more,
Then suddenly the control shifts back to me.
yes, you're acknowledging, maybe for the first time, that the levers of change are actually in your hands.
That's a huge psychological shift.
It's massive, accepting that maybe you contributed to some of your current problems. It sounds negative, but it's actually incredibly empowering.
Because if I caused it or part of it,
Then logically, mathematically, you can also create the solutions, or at least start working on them. The second you stop seeing yourself as just a victim of circumstances, the traffic, the bad luck, the unfair boss.
and you step into the role of the author.
Yes, the author of your story. You instantly unlock agency. You stop waiting for permission from the world.
And you start writing the next chapter yourself.
You start issuing commands to yourself based on your own values and goals.
But this ownership, it can't just be a vague idea like I own my life. The blueprint says it has to be applied to specific, concrete things.
Yeah, absolutely. It needs practical targets.
Mm-hmm.
The material specifically calls out 3 areas where you need to take immediate ownership: your mornings,
Okay.
your habits,
Right.
and your attitude.
All right, let's break those down. Ownership of your mornings. What does that look like?
It means establishing sovereignty, basically, over that first hour, maybe 2 hours of your day. It's about you dictating the terms of how your day begins.
Instead of immediately reacting to whatever the world throws at you, emails, notifications.
Exactly. Instead of letting someone else's urgent agenda hijack your focus before you've even had a glass of water, we're talking specific, proactive rituals. Maybe hydration, some movement, quiet reflection, planning.
Before the chaos hits.
Before the world wakes up and starts making demands, you set the tone. You own the start.
Okay, makes sense. Then Ownership of habits.
This means really recognizing that those small, often unconscious routines, they aren't minor things.
Like scrolling social media for 20 minutes before even getting out of bed.
Or automatically grabbing that sugary snack mid-afternoon.
Yeah.
Those aren't just little quirks. They are the literal building blocks of your future self.
Wow, okay.
So ownership here means consciously designing better habits, proactively. And maybe just as importantly, reducing the friction for the good habits and increasing it for the bad ones.
Making the good choice the easy choice, eventually.
That's the goal. And finally, the third one, which is often the hardest.
Ownership of your attitude.
This requires constant conscious effort. It's about managing how you interpret the events that happen to you. The core idea is cognitive reframing.
Okay, give me an example.
Right. Let's say you miss an important deadline at work. The natural, maybe victim-oriented attitude is, oh, I'm such a failure. This always happens to me. My boss will kill me.
Right, the downward spiral.
Yeah. The ownership attitude tries to reframe it. It says, okay, that deadline was missed. Why? Poor planning on my part. Acknowledge the role you played, but then this information is actually a gift. It's telling me exactly where I need to improve my scheduling process.
So you own the mistake, but you turn it into useful data, not just self-criticism.
You transform it into an actionable insight. You own the error, learn from it, and adjust.
What's really striking about those three targets, mornings, habits, attitude, is that they are all completely internal.
100%.
You have immediate total control over them. You can't control the stock market today, or the weather, or what your coworker thinks.
No.
But you absolutely can control what time you get up, whether you do that 5-minute stretching routine, and whether you choose to reframe that annoying email as a challenge rather than an insult.
Totally within your power. And the ultimate outcome of embracing this internal revolution, this ownership, it's a fundamental shift in your identity.
How so?
The moment you fully take ownership, you stop playing the role of the passive character in the story, the one waiting to be rescued or reacting to events.
And you become the author.
You step into the role of the author, the one who dictates the plot points, learns from the twists, and ultimately decides where the story is going. That shift from passive recipient to active creator, that's the essential foundation you need for any kind of real sustainable improvement.
Okay, so the mindset is shifted. We've had the internal revolution, taken ownership, we're the author now.
Right. Stage one complete.
So now we move from the why and the who to the how. How do we actually start writing this new narrative? How do we build momentum?
And this is where the blueprint tackles another major cultural obsession.
Which is?
The obsession with the quick fix, the overnight success, the huge headline-grabbing transformation. The material calls this out, identifying what you called the myth of the big explosion.
Yeah, I think that captures it. We love those stories, don't we? I'm gonna lose 50 kilos by summer.
I'm launching my $1 million startup next month.
I'm gonna completely reinvent myself starting Monday. Big, loud, traumatic.
Exactly. And while that kind of ambition can feel exciting for a moment, that explosion mindset is actually fundamentally flawed for most people most of the time.
Why flawed? Isn't big ambition good?
Ambition is great, but the expectation of immediate explosive results is often counterproductive.
Yeah.
Especially for, the learner, the person trying to figure things out, because the gap between where you are right now and that enormous perfect goal, it just feels overwhelming.
Yeah, it can lead to paralysis. Like, that's too big, I don't even know where to start.
Precisely. And the reality check the blueprint offers is so important here. Real, lasting improvement almost never happens in those big, flashy explosions.
It's quieter.
Much quieter. It happens in small steps, tiny steps, sometimes. but repeated.
Yeah.
Every single day. Consistency is the engine.
Not the size of the single action.
No, not the intensity of one heroic effort. It's the longevity, the showing up again and again.
Okay, so consistency over intensity, which leads directly to another critical point the material makes about effectiveness. The principle of application over consumption. Application over consumption, meaning...
We often confuse effort with volume, right? We feel productive if we read, say, 100 articles on a topic.
Or listen to 50 hours of podcasts on self-improvement.
Or sign up for 10 different online courses. We equate acquiring information with actually making progress.
And that's a mistake. It's a fundamental misunderstanding, according to this source. It states very clearly, it's not about consuming endlessly. It's about application, doing something with what you learn.
Yes. It's not about reading those 100 books on productivity. It's about picking one core idea, maybe even just one sentence, from one of those books. And immediately applying it, consistently, putting it into practice in your actual life. The focus has to shift from input reading, listening, watching, to output. Doing.
That really reframes the whole idea of learning and growth, doesn't it?
Completely. Think about learning a language. The real value isn't in downloading 12 different apps and buying 4 textbooks.
Though it might feel like you're doing something.
Right. The real value is picking one exercise, maybe just 5 new flashcards and doing it every day. Or if you're serious about getting your finances in order, the value isn't reading every single investment blog.
Which could take forever.
Exactly. The value is setting up one automatic transfer, maybe just $10 a week, into a savings account, and then not touching it.
It's about the consistent action, however small.
Yes. The emphasis is on showing up consistently, even if it's only at, say, 50% effort on some days. Because 50% effort done consistently, day after day,
is way better than 100% effort that you only manage 3 times a year when you feel super motivated.
Fundamentally better. That sporadic burst fades. Consistency builds.
And this idea of consistency, it's the essential setup for what I think is maybe the most compelling piece of the whole blueprint.
You mean the math.
The math.
Yeah.
The mathematics of consistency. Or maybe better known as the 1% rule.
Yeah, this is powerful because it gives a concrete numerical why behind the power of small, quiet steps.
Okay, lay it out for us. The calculation. It's incredibly simple, but the implications are transformative. Anyone serious about change really needs to let this sink in. The math is this. If you improve in any area by just 1% every single day, okay, 1%, that sounds tiny, manageable.
Tiny, but if you do that consistently for a year, that daily 1% compounds. And at the end of the year, you won't be just 365% better, which would be 1% times 365.
No. How does the compounding work?
Because each day's 1% improvement builds on the previous day's improvement. It's exponential. So after a year of 1% daily improvement, you end up approximately 37 times better.
Wait, 37 times better, not 3.7 times, but 37.
37 times better. Let that number land for a second, from just 1% a day.
That's staggering. That's not just marginal improvement. That's a radical transformation. It's almost unbelievable, but it's mathematically sound. And the source material makes a point of saying, that's not magic, that's math. I love that line. That's not magic, that's math. Because it demystifies the whole process of achieving big things, doesn't it?
Completely. We look at people who've achieved amazing transformations in their health, their careers, their finances, and we often assume there must have been some secret sauce, some hidden talent, some lucky break, some big explosive turning point.
Yeah, the overnight success myth again.
Right. But this calculation, the 1% rule, it reveals the real secret. It's the relentless, patient accumulation of tiny logical inputs, day after day after day.
Okay, let's make this concrete. What does 1% actually look like in different areas for the listener trying to apply this?
Good idea. So in finance, like we touched on, 1% improvement might literally be cutting out one small, unnecessary daily expense, that $5 coffee, maybe,
Okay.
and then setting up an automatic transfer of that $5 into an investment or savings account. It seems completely insignificant on day one,
Feels like nothing.
but compounded over 365 days and then over years, becomes substantial. That's 1%.
Okay. What about, say, relationships? How do you get 1% better there?
Maybe it's pausing for just 2 seconds before you react defensively in a tense conversation with your partner. Just 2 seconds.
To allow for a more thoughtful response instead of just lashing out.
Exactly. A tiny shift, but done consistently, it can change the whole dynamic. Or in professional skills. Maybe it's spending the last 5 minutes of every workday tidying your desk and writing down your top 3 priorities for tomorrow morning.
Simple. Takes almost no time.
Almost invisible on day one, right? But imagine the cumulative effect on your focus and organization after a year. These things multiply.
And that's the real beauty of focusing on the 1%, isn't it? It completely bypasses that feeling of being overwhelmed.
Absolutely.
For someone listening who feels paralyzed by the sheer size of a goal, like start a business or master Spanish.
The 1% rule is like a lifeline. It says, look, your goal today isn't to run the marathon.
What is it then?
It's just to put on your running shoes and stretch for 5 minutes. That's it. That's your 1% for today.
It shifts the entire focus from the outcome, which feels huge and maybe unpredictable,
to the process, which is tiny, predictable, and completely within your control right now.
So if you're facing a really complex project at work, the goal isn't finish the whole project.
No. The goal is move it forward by 1% today. Maybe that's writing one email, making one phone call, outlining one section.
It turns this daunting mountain into a series of very small, very achievable steps, micro victories.
Exactly. And those micro victories build momentum and confidence. It ensures that the author of the story keeps writing, keeps moving forward every single day, even, and maybe especially, on the days they don't feel particularly inspired or motivated. The 1% is always doable.
All right, so we've got the internal shift, taking that ownership. We've got the action plan, focusing on those consistent 1% improvements.
Mindset and method, check.
But now we have to talk about the world outside your own head, because the environment you operate in, the one you choose, it can either supercharge those 1% efforts or completely sabotage them.
Yeah, this is crucial. You can have the best intentions and the best plan, but if your environment is constantly working against you.
It's like swimming upstream. Exactly. Yeah. Which brings us to section 3, shaping your environment. And the first, often toughest piece of this is looking at the influence of your circle, the people you spend time with. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with idea.
That's part of it, yeah. This part of the blueprint can be a painful reality check, honestly, because it involves relationships.
It forces you to assess the impact people are having on you.
Right. The core reminder is that the people around you actively shape you. Whether you realize it or not, you're constantly absorbing their beliefs, their attitudes, their limitations, even their subconscious expectations for you.
So it's not just about whether they're nice people.
No, it goes deeper. It's about their mindset, their ambition, their energy. You become the average, not just financially, like the saying goes, but emotionally, intellectually, ambition-wise too.
And the material is pretty direct about the consequences of being in the wrong environment, isn't it?
Very direct, especially about negative surroundings. If you're constantly surrounded by people who complain, who normalize giving up, who perhaps even mock ambition.
Or who just constantly repeat that things can't get better, that's just the way the world is.
Yeah, that kind of limiting script. The blueprint says, inevitably, you start thinking smaller yourself. You unconsciously absorb their ceiling and make it your own limit.
You internalize their normal.
Precisely. We see this really clearly with things like money or health goals, don't we?
How so?
Well, if all your friends constantly celebrate debt or frivolous spending or complain about being broke but do nothing about it, your little 1% goal of saving $10 a day is going to feel weird, almost wrong.
Like you're breaking some unwritten rule of the group.
Exactly. Or if your social circle actively makes fun of people who exercise or eat healthy, then your 1% daily walk, or choosing the salad. It starts to feel like a rebellious act, not a positive step. They create this powerful normalcy bias that makes growth feel abnormal or even undesirable.
Okay. But the flip side is also true, right? The positive impact.
Oh, absolutely. The consequence of being in a growth-oriented environment is described as revolutionary.
Revolutionary. Like how?
When you intentionally surround yourself with people who believe growth is possible, who are actively working on their own 1% improvements, who support ambition, who maybe take smart risks.
That whole atmosphere changes things.
Completely.
Oh.
It normalizes striving. It normalizes success. It opens up your perception of what's possible because you see people just like you doing it. It raises your own internal ceiling.
So evaluating your circle becomes less about just who you like hanging out with.
And more about strategic self-management. It's about curating your influences. If we really buy into the power of that 1% compounding math,
then having people who either actively support that 1% growth or at the very least don't actively drag you 1% backward.
it becomes absolutely critical to making the math work in your favor.
Okay, so this realization that your environment matters profoundly, it leads directly to the next often difficult action step.
The art of setting boundaries.
Right. Because improving your life, curating your environment almost always means you have to set some new boundaries.
No way around it.
But that can feel really hard. For a lot of people, setting boundaries sounds selfish, doesn't it? Like if I need to distance myself a bit from a friend who's constantly negative, aren't I being a bad friend? Aren't I abandoning them?
That's the exact tension, the friction that the source material tackles head on. And it offers another powerful reframe.
Okay. It reframes the motivation for setting boundaries. It states very clearly, boundaries are set not because you are selfish, but because you are serious about your peace. Ooh, I like that. Serious about your peace.
Isn't that powerful? Because peace, mental peace, emotional peace, it's the essential resource you need for sustained growth. It's the fuel for your 1% engine.
And if your environment is constantly introducing chaos, drama, negativity,
it burns up that fuel. It drains the energy that should be going towards your positive actions, your 1% improvements.
Yeah.
So protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's strategic self-preservation for the sake of your growth.
Okay, so it's about creating the necessary space, mental, emotional, even temporal space for focused effort and consistent action. But let's talk practicalities. How does the blueprint suggest actually doing this, especially with, say, difficult family members or friends you've known forever?
Yeah, it's not about just cutting everyone off, usually. It needs to be strategic, often compassionate, but also firm. The first step is really defining your non-negotiables.
What you absolutely need to protect.
Exactly. What are the things you will no longer allow?
Yeah.
Maybe it's being interrupted during your dedicated focus time. Maybe it's getting drawn into conversations that are exclusively negative gossip. Maybe it's taking responsibility for someone else's financial messes repeatedly. You have to define the line.
Okay, so you define the line. Then what?
Then you communicate it calmly and clearly focusing on your need, not their behavior.
Yeah.
For instance, that friend who calls every single night to complain for an hour straight.
Yeah.
The boundary isn't necessarily never call me again or blocking their number. It might be managing the time and energy. You might say something like, hey, I really value our friendship and I want to connect, but I've committed to protecting my evenings for my own project's rest. So I could chat for about 15 minutes tonight.
So you're stating your need and offering what you can do rather than just shutting them down completely. You're protecting your peace, your 1% time.
Without necessarily attacking their need to vent, you're adjusting the terms of engagement, managing the inputs into your environment.
Okay. So the overall framework here is pretty straightforward assessment then.
Yeah. Check your circle, take an honest look. Do the people in your life generally lift you up? Do they inspire you, support your growth, or at least respect your boundaries?
Or do they limit you? Do they drain your energy, reinforce negative patterns, dismiss your goals?
And if they're limiting you, the solution isn't always drastic. Sometimes it's distance. Sometimes it's just changing how, when, and for how long you engage. But shaping that environment, actively culling the negativity and cultivating the growth influences is just as vital as the internal mindset work and the daily 1% actions.
It protects the whole system, protects the engine of transformation you're trying to build.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's the container for your growth. Okay, we've covered a lot of the, let's call it the hard work aspects. Taking that sometimes uncomfortable responsibility, committing to consistent daily action even when it's small, and making those tough choices about boundaries and environment. Yeah, the grinding gears of improvement, you might say.
Right, but transformation can't just be about pushing forward relentlessly, can it? It feels like something would be missing.
And that's exactly what the final section of this blueprint addresses. It introduces this beautiful, almost necessary counterpoint to the constant hustle culture we live in.
A different kind of fuel for the engine.
Exactly. It shifts our focus towards growth through appreciation.
Growth through appreciation? Okay, what does that mean in practice?
Well, it starts by challenging the standard way we think about improvement. Usually, improvement feels like it requires adding more, right?
Yeah, more goals, more things on the to-do list, more pressure, more hustle.
Yeah.
The whole narrative is usually future-focused. I'll be happy when I achieve X. I'll be satisfied when I get Y. It's always about chasing the next thing, which can be exhausting.
Utterly exhausting. And the blueprint challenges this directly. It offers an alternative approach that sounds simple, maybe even obvious, but is actually pretty revolutionary in today's world.
Which is?
Sometimes improving your life means pausing to appreciate what is already there.
Okay, so gratitude.
Gratitude, yes, but maybe in a more active sense. It's about consciously recognizing the resources you already have, the progress you've already made, the inner resilience you possess, the things you currently enjoy, all the stuff we tend to completely overlook when we're rushing towards the next goal.
We're so focused on the gap between where we are and where we want to be that we forget to look at how far we've already come.
Exactly. And this is where the true function of gratitude, as presented here, becomes clear. There's a common misunderstanding about gratitude, isn't there?
That it makes you complacent. Like, if I'm grateful for my current job, I'll just stop trying to get a better one.
Right.
That it somehow equals stagnation. But the source material clarifies this beautifully. It says, gratitude doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you grow with peace, not pressure. Grow with peace, not pressure. Say more about that.
It means the pursuit of improvement becomes sustainable. It becomes enjoyable even. because it's rooted in a fundamental contentment with the present moment, an appreciation for what is, rather than being driven solely by a frantic sense of lack or deficiency about the future.
Okay, so that piece acts like ballast. Keeps you steady while you're still moving forward.
That's a great way to put it. Think about fitness again. If you're genuinely grateful for the level of fitness you've already achieved through your hard work, even if it's not your ultimate goal.
You're more likely to approach the next workout positively.
Yes. You're more likely to run that next mile tomorrow. Maybe not out of self-loathing for skipping yesterday or punishment because you're not there yet, but out of recognizing your current capability, appreciating the gift of movement, maybe even finding joy in the effort itself.
It shifts the motivation away from scarcity, I'm not good enough yet, towards abundance. Look what I can already do and I can build on this.
Precisely. And this leads to another fundamental perspective. Shift the material encourages. Seeing progress itself as a gift, not as a punishment or a chore. Progress as a gift. How does that work? Well, when growth is framed as a punishment, it feels like you're constantly having to demand more of yourself because your current state is inherently inadequate. Ugh, I have to work overtime because I'm not earning enough. Or I have to force myself to study this because I'm falling behind.
Yeah, that feels heavy. Like a burden.
Right. But when that same effort, that same progress is framed as a gift, an opportunity you've been given or you've created to refine your skills, to learn something new, to demonstrate competence,
then every little step forward, every 1% improvement feels different.
it feels like something to be celebrated, acknowledged. Even the effort itself can feel like a gift.
Let's use learning again. If I see studying a really difficult subject as a punishment because, I should already know this stuff.
You create resistance. It feels like drudgery.
But if I can shift my perspective and view the new knowledge I'm gaining as a gift, as an asset I didn't have an hour ago.
Then it fuels your curiosity, doesn't it? It fuels your resilience to keep going when it gets tough. Because you see the value being added, not just the effort being expended.
Okay, so it's about widening the definition of progress, too.
Yes. The sources really push us to find growth and improvement in places we don't normally look. To expand our definition beyond just the obvious metrics like weight lost or money earned.
Like what?
Like noticing the sunrise, like really consciously appreciating that moment. Or the lesson you managed to extract from a really difficult conversation, even if the conversation itself was unpleasant. Or just a moment of quiet mental clarity you achieved through meditation or focus.
Those count as improvements, too.
Absolutely. According to this blueprint, that's the quiet internal evidence of real growth. It's you becoming more present, more aware, more resilient.
And that ties into resilience, doesn't it?
Directly.
Yeah.
Because if you recognize progress as this constant, quiet gift that's always available in some form, then you understand that even on the bad days.
Which everyone has.
Right. The days when you inevitably slip up, when a habit breaks, when something goes wrong externally. You're still learning. You're still becoming stronger, or at least gathering data.
So the bad days aren't proof that the whole effort is pointless.
No. They don't invalidate the journey. They're just data points. They feed the continuous 1% improvement machine. The author of your story doesn't rip out the difficult chapters in frustration.
They analyze them. They learn the lesson contained within them.
And they keep writing. They integrate the lesson and move forward.
So integrating this appreciation, this gratitude, with the resilience it builds, it makes the whole process of improvement feel more achievable. and maybe even enjoyable.
Exactly. It allows you, the learner, the author, to move forward without that crushing weight of external expectation or internal judgment. You can focus instead on that quiet, internal satisfaction that comes from consistent, sustainable, peace-driven action. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow. Okay, this has been incredibly detailed, really practical, I think. We've gone from that initial fuzzy desire for change
Yeah, I wish things were different stage.
right into the specific tactical steps needed for actual sustained growth. Mindset, action, environment, appreciation.
The whole stack.
So let's try and bring it all back together now. Synthesize the absolute core takeaway from this entire blueprint for improving your life. Okay. If I had to boil it all down, the synthesis is really this. If you genuinely want to improve your life, this blueprint demands that you start exactly where you are right now. No waiting.
No waiting with whatever you currently have. And you just initiate movement. Even if that movement feels incredibly slow or ridiculously small or almost insignificant at first, just move.
Because the biggest barrier, as the sources showed again and again,
Is that belief that you have to wait. Wait for the perfect moment, the right circumstances, the big opportunity, the external permission slip, the applause.
yeah, waiting is the trap.
Waiting is a trap. Action, however small, is the key.
And what really seems to matter, based on everything we've discussed, is the quiet nature of this change.
Yes. That's so important. The material is emphatic about this. Real growth isn't loud.
Yeah.
It's not about the big announcement on social media or getting validation from everyone around you. No. It happens in those countless small, quiet choices made when, and this phrase is just vital, nobody's clapping.
Those are the moments that really count, the ones that prove genuine ownership.
Absolutely. Did you actually take responsibility for starting your morning right, even though no one else was awake to see it or congratulate you?
Did you choose that tiny 1% improvement, applying that one sentence you learned, making that slightly healthier food choice, even when it felt difficult or pointless in the moment?
Those quiet commitments, those consistent, often unseen, peace-driven decisions. Those are the things that accumulate. That's what compounds mathematically into that eventual significant transformation.
So ultimately, the goal here isn't really about transforming your life just to impress other people.
No, not for external validation, not just so things look good on the outside.
It's because you deserve to live a life that genuinely, what was the phrase, feels good inside.
Feels good inside. That internal state, rooted in your own consistent effort, your ownership, your appreciation. That feeling is the real measure of success, according to this blueprint.
That quiet, profound satisfaction that comes from knowing deep down that you are being the disciplined, consistent, truthful author of your own story.
That's the ultimate goal.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, let's leave everyone listening with one final, maybe provocative thought. Something that pulls together these threads of ownership, small actions, and internal commitment.
Okay.
Since we've established that true improvement really stems from those internal choices, that quiet ownership, what is the single, maybe even non-visible 1% improvement choice you can commit to making today, right now?
One thing.
One small thing. That proves mainly to yourself that you're serious, that you're ready to be the author of your story. What is it? Maybe it's putting your phone away for the first hour of the day. Maybe it's 5 minutes of quiet reflection. Maybe it's finally sending that one difficult but necessary email.
Think small, but act today.
Because that single small choice, it isn't just your first step.
It's the switch that flips everything.
Thanks for joining us for the deep dive. We'll catch you next time.